2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.
And a special welcome to Global Morning on Global Television. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Of course, it's been a very wonderful weekend, even though we never had one. And my colleague will attest to that. Good morning, June.
Good morning, Ramsey. How are you doing today? It's a beautiful Monday morning, a time to get work started. Work begins immediately. And a lot of people, and you will say like weekends, a lot of people didn't rest during the weekends, but some did and some did not. It depends on the profession in which you find yourself. It's a beautiful Monday morning. I am Jumai Manson. It's great to be here. How was your weekend, Ramsey?
Of course, my weekend, I was just thinking about it. Did I have a weekend?
Did you?
I was at work. Weekend is weekend. Whether your weekend was a busy one or it was a light one.
It depends.
It all depends.
Yes, it does.
My weekend was great. I think that's the bottom line.
Even
though I was at work on Saturday, but then at least on Sunday I was able to say, Papa, we thank you.
And have you ever wondered that we as Nigerians, we don't find that time to actually rest? We don't take our time to rest, to exercise, which is very, very important for our health, one of our health benefits. For some that just work all through and you think that it is part of exercise. No, it is not. You have to find that time to exercise, do some warm-up, so allow your heart to pump well, they say, right?
Well, I think exercising is very important.
Yes, it is.
No matter how little it is, because it helps in the circulation of the blood. It makes you breathe well. It helps your system. And a lot of people do it, even if it is light, even if it is just 2, 3, 4 push-up. If it is sit-up, I think the ladies love sit-up more.
Yeah.
If it is push-up for the
it
men,
helps with the curves.
If it is
our shape.
Oh, are you serious? No wonder. I was getting to know. No wonder. A lot of women tend to do a sit-up.
Yeah.
As their basic exercise. Sometimes we pull them to the road. Say, put on something. Let's go. Just do a little jog. Even if it is a kilometer, it's something. Just burn down some fats. Just stay fit, and of course that will help you perform better during the day. If you exercise,
keeps you
your body system keeps you very light. You're light. Whatever you're doing, there is no dragging of foot and all of that. So it's very important.
Very important.
Exercising every day, even if it is not every day, at least twice, thrice in a week.
Yeah, it goes a long way. Really, exercise is key. Exercise. It's just a reminder to make you understand that exercise is very important and it is good. It has a lot of health benefits attached to it. Now over to some other news now. Talking about 2 years in office by our president, no other person than President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And of course, a lot of things, like I was discussing with my co-host on Friday, I said, well, it's a balance of mixed reactions. Some will tell you, okay, a lot has been done when it comes to the renewed hope agenda. Some will tell you, of course, but Jumai, of course, we still have a lot of unemployment. We have sectors who need overhaul when it comes to education. What we're seeing now with education, WAEC, the JAM, and all of that encompassed, talking about inflation when it comes to food. But I just said everything will come to a balance. But some individuals out there have a lot to say when it comes to 2 years in office by our president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But what's your own take before we quickly go for that box spot?
Yes, 2 years in office, I will say the truth, it's not easy. Those of us that have assumed small leadership positions before, we know what
no leadership position is small.
To lead, if you are, it depends on the group you're heading, you're leading. It depends on the number of people you're leading.
Yeah, that's true.
When it comes to leading a whole country, it's not easy.
No, it's not.
I think what Nigerians are more concerned about is the initial policies that Nigeria has been struggling with, that has affected the economy to where it is today.
Yes.
In fact, the floating of the naira, then the subsidy remover, which has translated into what some Nigerians are calling hunger today.
Very true.
Even though the federal government has put up systems to cushion the effect of this hunger, but then it cannot be the same for everyone, just like you said. For every Nigerian, they have something to say about the president's 2 years in office. And that's exactly what we are taking you to the street now to find out, because you won't hear just from us. And as a matter of fact, the truth is this. The president says something. There will be light at the end of the tunnel.
Giving us hope.
Giving us hope. And some economists have come out to say, well, it is not as the indices, all right, it's not as worse as Nigerians are saying it. But what are Nigerians saying? The only meter Nigerians are using to measure the performance of the president is hunger.
True.
Because Nigerians will tell you, oh, before now, we know it wasn't so good with the past administration.
Very true.
But then this administration, every child, every adult, everyone, whether you're working or you are unemployed, people are feeling the heat right now.
Very true.
I think there was a prominent politician who actually complained, all right, about this administration. And funny enough, the person is not in an opposition. If the person is in an opposition, you say, okay, well, because he's in an opposition and all of that. What am I trying to say? The truth is that even the president himself is aware of the situation. And that's the reason why you see him traveling from one country to the other, meeting presidents, diplomatic relations, cementing the ground for investors, bilateral relations, and, you know, wooing investors and all of that. And we've seen where some palliative, like buses on the street to move people from one place to the other, even though some Nigerians are saying the CNG buses are not enough yet, because one of the things that affects almost everything in Nigeria is fuel, all right? And unfortunately, the price of fuel at the international market, the price of crude at the international market, because Nigeria depends on crude for almost everything. That's our major source of income as a country. Even though some people are talking about diversification now, that we should look inwards, we have some natural resources that can actually bring a lot of income to Nigeria. We have agriculture on its own. Agriculture is just there. But then attention was moved to crude, and that's what brought us to where we are today. People are even finding it difficult to go back to the days where we were exporting timber, you know, we're exporting cocoa, we're exporting a lot of grains and all of that. So I think it's time for diversification, because it is not all rosy right now with the crude. And Dangote refinery, a lot of people said, well, this is going to bring some form of joy to Nigerians. But then, I think he's trying his best. But the truth is that one refinery will not be enough for a country as large as Nigeria, where a lot of people consume this product. Well, we've said so much. Let's get to the streets of Abuja and hear what other persons are saying about the 2 years of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in office. But then I think we need to put this straight. We're talking about the president now, but then there's also an assessment going on with even state governors and everyone in political office that have spent 2 years in this administration. So for now, let's just hear what some Nigerians have to say on the street of Abuja.
One of the features of the Tinubu campaign in the build-up to the 2023 general election 2 years ago is his promise to drive critical reforms across sectors in a bid to lift millions of Nigerians out of what the World Bank has now termed multidimensional poverty. However, Emmanuel Okafor, an Abuja-based businessman, is particularly concerned about the state of security in the country.
General security, the rate of kidnapping has gone up. And I'm not saying this because I hate government or I hate Tinubu. I mean, I don't know him. I don't have anything against him. But the rate of kidnapping has gone up. The rates of bandits, banditry, cattle rearers, herdsmen, terrorism, because that's essentially what it is, has gone up.
These final year law students, Saliu Adamu, however, sees the Tinubu government in a different light altogether.
Considering the situation the president inherited from the immediate past government, I can say Tinubu actually did what he could.
For these respondents, the government should not take the blame for the state of the nation all alone.
Even in marriage, 2 years it's not enough to assess someone. So keep on hoping. Will I say the president is the main issue, or will I say it's commoners? If we are able to solve our own personal issues as human we are, and if the leaders see the example in us, I believe we will make a change.
With 2 more years to go in President Bola Tinubu's current tenure, what should the government do differently? Again, Emmanuel Okafor proffers a piece of advice.
Above the economy that we talk about, the security that we talk about, let's have an electoral system and an electoral process that gives the people what they actually voted for.
Nigerians have taken out time to air their opinions in terms of how they evaluate the government of President Bola Tinubu the last 2 years. However, some of them have been apt enough to also recommend some things that can be done differently going into the next 2 years of the lifetime of this administration. However, it turns out going forward,
All right, now we've heard a lot from what individuals are saying about the 2 years in office by our president, no other than President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And now, at this point, we're going to delve into the national dailies to see what headlines are in stock for us today. Let's quickly go over to the newspaper segment. Do not go anywhere. Global Morning continues shortly. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. It is still the Global Morning on Global Television. Well, we heard from the street. Let's now hear from the papers, because these are 2 different mediums. The people on the street who are saying it raw as it is, and from the papers where you have it written with caution. You know what I'm talking about. Now to the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, where we have the issue of auto crash. That's the kick-off, the big headline there. It said, last moments of Kano 22 persons that were returning from the National Sport Festival and couldn't get back home. It's so pathetic that if you watch that crash, you'll start asking questions. What really happened? What really happened? These are contingents from a state, people representing a state as big as Kano State. What happened? Was it a mechanical issue? Was it a human factor? Was it, I don't know. But then whatever it is, I think we want to say may their life just be in the hands of God. May they rest in peace. I think investigations may be done by the bodies to see why that happened. And of course, the picture story right there has, I think, another thing about the 2 years in office. This person bought the whole page, infrastructures everywhere. This is Governor Buni, all right, and of course, you can see infrastructures right there. Second term in office, elevating service delivery across Yobe State. A snapshot of key projects and programs. This is the part 2 of it. And that's coming from all the way from Yobe State. And of course, that's going to be the size of the headlines from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
All right, next is the Daily Times newspaper, and above the nameplate we have NDLEA arrests 2 Saudi-bound pilgrims, intercept 9.3 billion naira opioids. Of course, and you can find that read on page 5, and you say to yourself, how unfortunate. In fact, this is a very sad read, because you do not present Nigeria in that light of you're going for pilgrimage. It's a holy time for our Muslim faithfuls, and you go under the guise of trafficking drugs. It's just unfortunate, but of course I know the needful will be done there. And then of course below the nameplate it says here, judiciary workers begin nationwide indefinite strike today. And that's on page 2. How we always go strike at every given point in time, whether it's a judiciary, whether it's a labor, whether it's the labor union or some, but strike always happens. I pray all their demands are met immediately. And that you can find on page 2. And of course the picture story there of people of Benue State. We're still back and forth when it comes to issues surrounding Benue State, when it comes to the killings and of course the lives and properties, which is really unfortunate. People of Benue State are going through a lot at this time, and it's just unfortunate. You're from Benue State, and I know it hurts deep, it cuts deep, right?
These women that were kidnapped, they boarded the state's bus, links, and they traveled. It's not so much distance to the east, because they share border with the east. The Ogbadibo local government area of Benue State and the Enugu people, they share border. So there is this Ubolo market that they attend together, you know, like a central market. And the women were traveling, were going to the markets, and they were kidnapped on the way. The bus was accosted and the women were taken away. One of them that escaped said she crawled in the bush for several meters, for several hours, and she escaped. Right now, nobody knows what's happening to those women. These are women. We're talking about women here who are struggling, who are going to market. Maybe what they took to that market may be alobo. They go to sell this cassava flour and all of that.
Of course, it's
food stuff, you know, maybe, and all of this happening. I think the Benue State security needs to be intensified. I think Alia needs to do more. He's doing it. We're not saying he's not doing anything, but because he's the chief security of the state. He needs to do more.
He needs to do more. But at the same time, with all of these happenings in Benue State, it's making it look as if the security there is a bit porous, like they're not.
That's the message. That's what it means.
It's just unfortunate because Benue Links it's a very prominent transportation system, and we know how secure back in the day it was, and then to see this sort of things happen, it's just unfortunate. If it's not kidnappings when it comes to when you're traveling, be in the farm and all that. You know, of course, Benue State is the food basket of the nation with all of these deaths that are happening, which can actually lead to famine and all of that in the country, because they do a lot when it comes to food. It's just unfortunate.
That's why Benue State, they said is the food basket of the nation.
Let's be hopeful.
We're hopeful.
I'm a positive,
just a few days ago, the people of Agom, you know, they were chased out of their house, and the video went viral. You see kids running on the road naked. You see women back their children running on the road, on the main road, major road, running for their life because certain people invaded their community and they had to run away. All of this happening in Benue State. I don't know. I think more needs to be done.
Of course, more really needs to be done when it comes to securing lives and property. And then still on the Daily Times, we have Nigerian security and political economy, and you can find that on page 1. And some of the writers there, it says, IOC's not exiting Nigeria presidency. And still on page 2, federal government here says, backs NSITF, expansion of employees, compensation for public workers. And you can find that read on page 11. Another writer says, Amechi gave Tinubu dose of his own medicine in 2022, and that's from Wole Soyinka, and you can find that read on page 8. Now, Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, a rushed celebration of unfinished dream, and that's from Ame. You find that on page 9. Now, that particular caption is a scare for me. When you say a rushed celebration of unfinished dream, what's that about? I hope it's not... well, no,
that's grammar for you. That's grammar.
But at the same time, I hope it's safe enough to play. It's very important that we know that. So what's that all about? And of course, below all of that, we have no reason peace, not reign between me and my Oga, and that is from Fubara on page 2. But I'm glad the tension between Fubara and of course Mr. Project, not the person that the FCT minister, Honorable Nyesom Wike, at this point, things are beginning to cement, and we understand that he's coming out now to say, hey, there's no reason for peace not to reign. Come on now, you guys are you're overblowing this out of proportion. But I'm glad, and of course, the FCT minister has come out to say that, of course, why is this political boy? So we don't have problems. He only has problems with other politicians who are trying to, do the wrong things when it comes to instigating what is happening between him and Fubara. But all the same, thank God, peace will reign. Peace has come to reign at last, right, Ramsey?
That's what we're hoping. But then I think every politician who knows the calculation will know that this is how it was going to end at the end of the day. All that drama. But my own is, why allow the people go through all of this?
Exactly.
Why allow the people go through all of this? I think the major thing there is, well, there's always a boss and there's always a boy. And of course, giving peace a chance
is very important.
Is just too important.
Yes, it is.
Fubara have said severally that he wanted peace.
Right from the onset.
But then, there are some things the FCT minister wanted him to do. And after the meeting with the president in London, I've already known what was going to happen, even though I'm not a politician. But I knew it was going to end like this. And don't be surprised that, I don't know, I'm just saying, don't be surprised that tomorrow you hear, remember Fubara said, well, his spirit has already left the city.
Exactly, I was going to say that. I was going to mention
that his mind, his heart is no longer in the governorship position of Rivers State. So the question is, what's next? Are we going to hear very soon that Fubara has been reinstated? Well, the time given to the administrator has not elapsed yet. It was supposed to do 6 months. And of course, the House of Rep have already wished into the situation. And of course, the president, the FCT minister, and we see peace returning gradually. But then, if not until the people of Rivers State said, okay, we are now fine with the situation, we can't say peace has returned. All these are just political languages that we are hearing here and there. But the bottom line is that at least Fubara and Wike are now in talking terms.
Yeah, which is the most important thing. And then, like we always say, when two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. Like you said, the people of River States have gone through a lot when it comes to, really, there would have been a lot more that would have been done for them if this issue was not playing out. But all the same, thank God, there is peace at last. So over is a Punch newspaper, and Ramsey will be running us through that.
All right, let's quickly look at the Punch newspaper this morning. to the right-hand side of the Punch newspaper, it's all about terrorism. Terrorists eyeing Nigeria, West Africa coastlines. This is coming from the United States. Oh, so United States is watching what's happening in Nigeria.
Of course.
All right. That's to tell you that this is more like terrorists eyeing Nigeria, West Africa coastlines. Apart from the terrorists that we have, is it the same terrorists or other terrorists from other countries? Then, if you want to know, just pick a copy of the Punch newspaper. And then this one says, grim toll, that's the kicker. The states move to evacuate flood zones. And some riders to that story, just one rider. Niger buries 153. States brace for heavy rains. Citizens plead for action. Mokwa survivors fear disease outbreak. All of this in Niger State. I think we're going to be talking about that much later. And we'll have an expert join us because this is one too many. We've had of flooding severally. And we talked about preventive measures, taking actions on time, proactive measures.
Very important.
Not damage control.
Not
but then
damage
this
control.
is, sometimes these things come as a natural disaster that you don't know how they happen. But then we'll have an expert join us on Global Morning today and we'll talk more about that. Now to the next headline. Nigeria's petrol price 55% below West African average. That is coming from Dangote. It says Nigeria's petrol price is 55% below West African average. All thanks to Dangote refinery. Defamation, that's the kicker. Natasha to appear in court Tuesday. Details you can find on page 7. A lot of people seems to have forgotten about the Natasha case, but the case is still in court.
Yes, it is.
Let's see what happens on Tuesday. I think Tuesday should be the final day for the ruling of that case. Then on page 33, 7 banks reserves with CBN surge to 18.8 trillion naira. All right, just get the detail of that. Trade and economic policies of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You can actually see that there. And of course, this one says NDLEA intercepts Saudi-bound pilgrims with drugs. I'm just thinking of what Allah will say to these people. This one says with head allocation, that's the kicker. Osun taps project funds to pay local government workers. Details you can find on page 9.
Head allocation. Osun taps project funds to pay local government workers. You can see the reason why the local government autonomy
is so important. Can we say at this point that this money is not yet been disbursed to the local government? Sarah, the last time I checked, we're saying, let us know how much is going to the governors. Let's know how much is going to, of
course, the local government, now that they have autonomy. The governors are taking so much right now because of the money realized from the subsidy
that was being removed. And that's the reason, well, if you watch one of our programs on Friday, we talked about that when we're talking about the tax bill. And of course, so much going to the states right now. So we need to see
developmental projects in the state so that people will know that the subsidy that the governors can actually support the agenda of the president. That's the size of the headlines from the Punch newspaper.
All right, now we're going to move over to the Nation newspaper now. And above the nameplate, it says, tragedies by Mokwa flood victims. Unfortunate incident there. You know, I saw there was a clip, I watched how the flood was just whisking away individuals in that water. Very sad there. No, it was really, really very, very sad there. Very sad and very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. And a lot of people are, they're results of A lot of people have actually died in that water. Now, Ogun, others mourn with Kanu. And here it says 22 firms get 16.1 billion naira in first tranche of 75 billion naira relief loan. And you can find that read on page 7 of the Nation newspaper. And still on the Nation, it says how Medipool will crash prices of medicines by Parte, and you can find that on page 6. And then the writer says 1.9 trillion naira oversubscribed Sukuk cash for refund, and you can find that on page 6. And it still says Governor Buni's second term in office elevating service delivery across Yobe State. Now a snapshot of key projects and programs. Of course, we can see that all over the Nation newspaper, all the projects and the programs that have been done in that in Yobe State. And then next is the Guardian, and of course Ramsey will just run us quickly. Over to you, Ramsey.
Well, let's quickly look at the Guardian newspaper and see how we are being guarded right there. On the Guardian newspaper this morning, I have this headline which says, Saudi Arabia evicts 205,000 unauthorized pilgrims from Mecca. That's serious. That's serious. Saudi Arabia evicts 205,000 unauthorized pilgrims from Mecca. If they are not authorized, how do they get there? We heard that one prominent person in Nigeria also was a victim of that, was evicted from Mecca. I even thought he's the only one, not knowing that there are up to 205,000 persons.
Well qualified.
Yeah, that unauthorized. No one authorized them. Maybe there are issues with
their visas, maybe their passports.
Maybe their visas, maybe their identity, their personality, and maybe what they've done in the past. This one says a forum appeals for relocation of Giwa Barracks as IEDs kill 9 in Borno. Okay, that's explosive. Arewa grieves over Niger flood disaster, Kano accident. It's so unfortunate that all of this is happening at this critical time. Then to the big story, which is the star story on the Guardian newspaper this morning. It says 2027 opposition coalition shops for candidates as APC mocks efforts. Opposition coalition shops for candidates as APC mocks efforts. Well, details of that you can find on page 6. But then I think this coalition thing, like a joke. I don't know.
They are getting serious.
It's getting serious. No. If it is not serious, then it means democracy is not taking its full course. And what makes it democracy is having people, right, to challenge sitting governments, especially when they feel things are not going on correctly. We're not saying things are not going on correctly, but that's what oppositions hold on to. So they always look for leakages. They always look for loopholes to take advantage of. But then, which opposition do we have in Nigeria right now that is strong enough to give the ruling party a run for their money? I'm still yet to get one, except if this coalition is going to come very strong the way we are thinking. But now, there is a saying from the paper here that there is a shopping. They are looking for candidates, all right? And APC is seriously mocking them. Well, I know of Atiku Abubakar, of course, and the former Kaduna State Governor as the serious persons in that coalition. I'm not very sure of Peter Obi, as the case may be. Economy not in crisis, says presidency, as Afenifere rates Tinubu low. Details of that you can find on page 3. Then you have this one which says mother allegedly hires thugs to beat vice principal for confiscating son's phone during WAEC.
Really?
There's nothing you won't see in Nigeria. There's nothing.
At all, really.
See, I think a few days ago, when we're talking about human rights, the legal practitioner that I had on the program said something very vital, and it's the issue of maybe you feel you have someone in authority, maybe we were actually talking about a situation where someone, it was a case they handled, and a pro bono they did, where someone, I think, had a man, a police officer that was her boyfriend, and she went to bring the police officer to torment someone, and they lied against the person, and the person was in jail for like 4 years.
Really?
You know, until these people came up to do a pro bono, some legal practitioners, and they rescued the man. And I was asking, why didn't the man take it up? You know, we've had situations whereby somebody will say, my brother is a military officer, my brother is a politician, my brother is that, and they go carry people, you know, to intimidate their fellow Nigerians. I don't know why all of that happens.
You know, like I always say, that Nigeria, you get away with a lot of things. It's our country. You can get away with these acts, but it's wrong because we do not understand or know our fundamental human rights. That is why we decide to keep quiet when such things happen to us, and it's just unfortunate, though. A
mother doing this, I was even surprised. Even if it is a man, but some women can go as far as doing anything for their children.
Yeah, but this is wrong. What are you teaching that child?
It's wrong.
The child brought in a phone during exam,
and that amounts to exam malpractice. Remember,
it is examination malpractice, because what would your child be doing with the phone during an exam? It's for he or she to go through the questions and, you know, cheat. It's just unfortunate. I do not understand how most parents or guardians bring up their children, or what we are teaching children in the society. But it's just unfortunate, though. But I think we need a lot to learn when it comes to that. And I pray this particular issue is not thrown over the bus. I think we should get to the
I think
roots of the
authorities
matter.
need to do something
Authorities
about
need to set an example for other parents to learn that you cannot hire thugs to come into the school premises to actually beat up a principal. It's unacceptable. No one is going to tolerate it. Are you kidding me?
I'm so excited because the person speaking is a woman too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I am. I would. That's the thing. I would.
I know
not
you wouldn't
tolerate
do a thing like that.
I would not tolerate it.
Even though you're a disciplinarian, I know you wouldn't do a thing like that.
I will not tolerate it.
All right. Finally, two more, and I'll be done with the Guardian newspaper. This one says subscribers lament as fiber cuts disrupt service nationwide. You know, sometimes you're paying heavily for data and you don't seem to get value for what you're paying for.
I keep saying that every time.
Every time. All right. ECOWAS at 50. A legacy at a crossroad. We'll actually look at that. In fact, more of that detail coming up in our diplomatic perspective, because we talked about ECOWAS at 50 extensively. Right there. That's going to be the size of the headlines from the Guardian newspaper.
All right, now the last paper on the newspaper review segment before we wrap it up and go to the next segment of Global Morning is the Vanguard newspaper. And below the nameplate, it reads, Federal Government's gas-powered vehicle scheme runs into major hitch nationwide. Why start something you cannot finish? Or why start something that will give problems at the long run? And of course, 785.6 billion naira investment threatened. You see, this is the English I do not want to hear. And of course, you can find that you can see page 19 for more details. And of course, the rider says refuel stations, conversion centers, other facilities grossly inadequate. Now, CNG buses, other equipment rot in parking lots. Current pain is temporary, presidential CNG initiative. Now, this is a very sad read. It's a very sad, at the beginning when we heard CNG, I said, is this sustainable? I hope we won't have hitches along the line. That is why I prefer we test run at the beginning to know how far this can go. But at the same time, I know someone who is actually enjoying the CNG conversion. But there are some who are finding it difficult
to get,
and at the same time they have to cut tooth and nail to actually when you have to convert. It's very sad. So we need to create that balance for everyone to be satisfied that, okay, I'm converting to CNG, I'm okay, it's not giving me issues, it's not expensive and all of that. But I think we have a lot to play when it comes to this, and it's very sad to read that. You see this particular rider here that says The first one says refuel stations, conversion centers, other facilities grossly inadequate, not enough, and of course maybe not up to standard when it comes to that. Then CNG buses, other equipment rot in parking lots, and God forbid if we are not careful, this is all we're going to hear from this. It's going to rot there. It's going to be there for a very long time, and no one will care about it. And taking away the fact that so much has been put in this, a lot of money has been put in this.
CNG, right?
What?
CNG, you're talking about
yes,
CNG.
I'm talking about CNG. A lot of money.
But then, the truth is, it's good.
It's good, but are
But
you
the
not?
management.
I'm coming to that part. The management, very important. I think we need monitoring committees to know whether all of these things are working for Nigerians. Very important.
Well, if you get to the street and speak with, we've done a few Vox Pop, and you hear from people it's affordable, one, and of course, it lasts more, and you buy not too expensive. But then the problem is converting.
And the risk.
And
don't forget the risk.
See,
always put the risk.
The risk. There is nothing, even fuel that I've been using have risk.
But
also.
at least we're used to that.
But the thing is, stays.
Don't forget the Nyanya
Management
Karo.
culture, the Nyanya Karo issue, I keep telling people, it happened as a result of carelessness.
True.
There was a brake failure that led to that accident, which the aftermath became an explosion. Okay. So, number one, where you hang your tank matters. Then, allowing your brake to fail in the midst of people in the city, and you just go and hit something and there is an explosion. Few cars explode too, even when they are using fuel.
Yes,
so what we should be thinking about now is what kind of tank do we need for our temperature? Because we're talking about CNG here. How many stations have this CNG? Because if you get very close to my church, you'll see them, the queue. When I see the queue, I feel for them. It's just like a park where they sell cars. You just see cars in one field, plenty, just to get
so making it look like the commodity is really not
it's scarce. That's it.
It's
I've
scarce.
spoken to a few of them and they said it's scarce.
All right, let's quickly move on now so we can go to the next segment. Now, 50 killed, 15 perished, shot by armed herders in Makurdi Diocese. Now, that's from the Catholic priest, and you can find that on page 13. Now, 2027, Tinubu should not play God. Now, that's from Sule Lamido, and that's on. You can find that read on page 14. Now, WAEC thugs hired by parents assault vice principal for preventing cheating in Ondo. And you can find that very sad read on page 6. Now, federal government orders employee compensation scheme for civil servants. And, of course, there's a picture story there, and says the executive governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, right? And with MD CEO of Alpha Morgan Bank, Ade Baromo, and you can find, and he's on the left-hand side of the Vanguard newspaper, the picture story. Now it says APC primaries, Amechi gave Tinubu dose of his own medicine. Sure, I read that before, but go and get the very interesting read on page 9. Nigeria and 6 others affected as Saudi Arabia suspends block work visa. Okay, so some people go to Saudi Arabia, of course, to perform Hajj and to work at the same time. So block work, I'm trying to understand what that is. So now, of course, debt burden, no sin in borrowing, says presidency. Okay. Ramsey is actually laughing at that. But let's see. And my favorite part of the Vanguard is the cartoon that always comes up. You have to go get yourself a copy to stay more abreast and see what the cartoon entails. Now, Dangote Refinery symbolizes hope for Africa, and that's on page 5. That's ECOWAS, and basically that is it on the Vanguard newspaper. And we have come to the end of the newspaper review segment on Global Morning. Let's quickly take a quick look, but before then, please go out and get yourself a copy of the National Dailies to be well abreast on issues making round. And at the same time, let us move over to our international news. And of course, Uya Gbomofegbe will be here on Global Morning to run us through all of that. Stay tuned. Do not go anywhere. Global Morning continues shortly.
know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road.
Hello and welcome to the international desk of the program. I'm Uyag Mofwebe. Let's begin from home, and they say charity begins at home and justice from the next door. Now, Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, has again put Africa on the spotlight, and this time he says that, look, going forward, the bulk of his fortune will be invested in Africa one way or another. Now, Bill Gates over this weekend, just we're rolling the video for you now, was in Addis Ababa, in, of course, Ethiopia, where he was awarded the highest honor in the land right there in that African country. One of the things he has said is, look, he will, as it were, put a chunk of his investment here in Africa, because that's something he has done for quite a number of decades. Now, let's recall that in 2000, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, now the Bill Gates Foundation, had given its first grants in that country. That is 25 years down the line. But by 2012, which was just 12 years after, it had also opened an office in Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia. Now, let's be clear for perspective. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, as it then was, and up to this point, has given several hundreds of millions across different sectors to Africa, whether it's in health, in sanitation, issues that have to do with climate, and of course, education. As a matter of fact, the foundation has thrown its weight quite enormously behind STEM, that is the science, technology, engineering, and math initiative that is becoming more like a phenomenon across the world. And he says he wants Africa to be a pivotal part of that as a continent. However, one of the questions being asked is, how much have African countries actually appropriated, or, well, let's say misappropriated, all of these funds that have been donated to several initiatives across the continent? In the case of Nigeria, for example, we do remember very well that while you still have former DG of NACA, that's the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, late Professor Oshotime, blessed memory, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation had given several hundreds of thousands, in some cases millions of dollars, to malaria-specific and even HIV-specific initiatives. But we do hope that these monies find their way into the right hands. But let's turn to other story now, this time to the U.S., where there has been a shooting in a city called Boulder in the state of Colorado. Now, we hear that, we're rolling that video for you as well, we hear that that incident was actually occasioned, or it followed a protest by a particular group that was calling for the release of hostages, Israeli hostages specifically held in Gaza. But then there was a shooter who police authorities now say injured quite a number of persons. No figure has been specified as it stands right now, but we do know authoritatively that that shooter has been taken into custody without incident. Well, the issue of the Gaza war, which is essentially now between Israel and Hamas has packed several angles to it. The conversation is not only global now, you have people taking sides, but overall, there has been call for a one-state solution, which Israel has vehemently and consistently opposed. We understand that there has been series of pounding in Gaza. Israel says the whole idea is to ensure that it eliminates every element of Hamas from the entire Middle East region. But again, a rapper back in the day, Tupac Shakur, had said, until there is peace in the Middle East, the world wants no peace. So let's hope there is peace in Israel and across the Middle East, and by extension the whole world, as quickly as possible. And that's it for this segment. Thank you for watching. I'm Muya Mofegbe. The rest of Global Morning continues shortly with the Global AM News for top of the hour.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
Our planet is changing and the clock is ticking. But amidst this crisis, there is hope, innovation, and resilience. Join me each week. The environment which you live is very much alive as I uncover the truths, the challenges, and the champions of our environment, because the future depends on what we do now.
They told you education is the key. They said, go to school. But why are so many graduates purposeless and jobless? On EduShift, we spot the cracks. We challenge the educational system. Torn between science, arts, and commerce, we bring clarity and answers to your questions, and we light up the path for a generation ready to stand out. Come enjoy discussions with educators, employers, and counselors. Let us fix this problem of career misalignment and help you discover yourself. EduShift, only on Global TV.
know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
Our planet is changing and the clock is ticking. But amidst this crisis, there is hope, innovation, and resilience. Join me each week. The environment which you live is very much alive as I uncover the truths, the challenges, and the champions of our environment, because the future depends on what we do now.
They told you education is the key. They said, go to school. But why are so many graduates purposeless and jobless? On EduShift, we spot the cracks. We challenge the educational system. Torn between science, arts, and commerce, we bring clarity and answers to your questions, and we light up the path for a generation ready to stand out. Come enjoy discussions with educators, employers, and counselors. Let us fix this problem of career misalignment and help you discover yourself. EduShift, only on Global TV.
Our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television. It's coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. You can download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. Now the news in full. President Bola Tinubu has affirmed the federal government's commitment to local content, technology transfer, and empowering Nigerians. The president stated this during the commissioning of the first phase of Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway and other road projects in Lagos. Kike Lomo Okere tells us more.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu emphasized that the government will no longer compensate developers who violate building regulations, highlighting the importance of urban planning and the rule of law. He instructed the Minister of Works, David Umahi, and other officials to ensure strict compliance with laws on local content, training, and technology transfer in all projects.
It is a great honor for me and pride to have this sense of fulfillment standing before you to commission the completed part of Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway corridor. This is phase 1 section of Ahmadu Bello Way, 700 kilometer iconic project spanning the coastal areas of Ogun, Ondo, Delta, Edo, Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Cross Rivers states.
President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, pledged the National Assembly's support for economic repositioning.
Mr. President, we have a president who has both sight and vision. And this, for me, is something I must advise our governors, particularly those of them who are on their second terms. Don't give power to anybody who is not prepared. If you do that, you are giving power to somebody who is not prepared for governance. 1,000 miles for Nigerians begins with a step, and that step is what we are starting. 750 kilometers of this Calabar, Lagos-Calabar.
The Minister of Works, David Umahi, says the government spent 18 billion naira compensating those affected by the highway's construction, stressing that all projects must prioritize Nigerian well-being and sustainability.
Mr. President, I want to thank you for the coastal route. When you directed me, say, Dave, I said, which projects do I do for you, Mr. President? He said, just use your initiatives, but go and do the coastal route. And I've said it over and over. Mr. President, in the process of procurement, not just the coastal route, in all the roads we have engaged in, and God is my witness, you never gave us words, you never gave us idea, you never nominated a contractor. I take responsibility and I defend every action of Ministry of Works.
The event was attended by governors from several states, prominent figures including Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka, National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, and industry leaders such as Aliko Dangote, among others. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
The Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, has announced a temporary disruption in water supply across Abuja city centre and some satellite towns due to the ongoing rehabilitation of two major water treatment plants. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, through his Senior Special Assistant on Public Communications, Lere Olayinka, explained that the affected facilities, Phase 1 and 2 of the FCT Water Board 4 treatment plants, are undergoing critical electromechanical upgrades by Mercer SCC Nigeria Limited. While the remaining two planned Phase 3 and 4 remain operational, they are unable to meet full demand, prompting a 2-week water rotation exercise. A timetable has been drawn to alternate supply between Line 1 and 2 of the distribution network. To ease the burden during the upcoming Salah celebrations, the minister said the rehabilitated plants will be temporarily reactivated to boost supply. Residents are advised to store sufficient water as the FCTA works to complete the upgrades ahead of the schedule. Over now to the All Progressive Congress, APC in Benue State has endorsed Governor Hyacinth Alia as its sole candidate for the 2027 gubernatorial election. The endorsement was made during a series of events commemorating his second anniversary in office. Correspondent Felicity Indere reports.
Gathered at the Ibrahim Badamosi Babangida Square in Makurdi for the event marking Governor Hyacinth Alia's second year in office were leaders of the All Progressive Congress, APC in Benue State, party stakeholders, top government officials from the Alia-led administration, members of the Benue State House of Assembly, led by Deputy Speaker Lamin Danladi, and the good people of Benue State. At the event, Governor Hyacinth Alia and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu were formally endorsed for a second term, with stakeholders citing the need to consolidate the achievement of their first tenure for the greater benefit of Nigerians.
The presidential endorsement of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the presidential sole candidate. Here also, we will also endorse the leader of all the Progressive Party in Benue State and our leader, the Executive Governor of Benue State, His Excellency, Reverend Father Dr. Isa Emia.
These endorsements today include both the PDP.
I establish that our support will be firm and permanent, and indeed, we are going to give the endorsement for you to be a single candidate of the APC 2027 election.
Governor Alia highlighted his administration's focus on infrastructure as a drive of socio-economic growth and outlined key achievements over the past 2 years.
We are poised to diversify our economy, tap into our vast mineral wealth, and develop our people. We are committed to a Benue where every citizen can live with dignity and aspire without limits.
Governor Alia acknowledged facing challenges like insecurity and limited resources, but assured that strategic measures are being taken to address them.
Yes, we have faced challenges, insecurity, political distraction, and resource constraints, but we remain undeterred. Our resolve is unshaken. We call on all communities to unite for peace, for progress, and for the great future of Benue State.
The event concluded with goodwill messages from traditional rulers, elder statesmen, and politicians, as well as others, all commending Governor Alia for his purposeful and people-centered leadership. They pledged their unwavering support to him so that he can continue delivering on his promise for the people of Benue State. In Makurdi, Felicity Ndere reporting Global TV News.
Chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has charged newly sworn-in resident electoral commissioners to take their jobs serious and shun anything that would dent their reputation and national development. He made this call while administering the oath of office to newly sworn-in REC members at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. Godwin Sunday tells us more.
It was fun to behold as the newly appointed resident electoral commissioners took turns to take their oath in office as they pledged their commitment to nationhood. The ceremony, which was held at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja, had in attendance active and outgoing REC members, members of the Commission, family members, as well as civil societies. The chairman congratulated the new RECs and urged them to focus on their responsibilities and act in good conscience while observing the Constitution. He also seized the opportunity to assign the newly sworn RECs to their new place of responsibility.
It is therefore appropriate to start by congratulating the new RECs that have just taken the oath of office. The conduct of elections is not only a huge responsibility, but also a sacred duty.
Responding on behalf of the newly sworn resident electoral commissioners, Sahad Idris, recently assigned Gombe State REC, thanked the chairman for the confidence reposed on them and pledged to maintain the standard of the commission at all times.
I am committed to upholding the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Electoral Act, guidelines and regulations, and all policies of the commission under all circumstances.
In the days ahead, Nigerians will be looking forward to the impact of the changes made here. Godwin Sunday, reporting for Global Television News.
House of Representatives has pledged to investigate the immediate and unduly cause of the midnight conduct of the West African Senior School Certificate examination in parts of the country. Chairman of the House Committee on Basic Examination Bodies, Honorable Oboku Oforji, made this known during a session with officials of the West African Examination Council WAEC at the National Assembly. Sharon Ajay has details.
Basic Examination Bodies, Honorable Oboku Oforji, emphasized that parents deserve an explanation as to why the safety of their children was compromised. The committee had earlier summoned WAEC's leadership to account for what it described as alarming irregularities in the conduct of the ongoing examination. During the meeting, Honorable Oforji offered an apology to Nigerian parents and the general public for disturbing incidents, notably the report of the exam being conducted around midnight in certain locations.
Parents and Nigerians need to know why their children's lives were endangered. It is expected that WAEC as a body live up to its responsibility of organizing this examination with high
standard, diligence, and proper duty of care.
Representing WAEC at the hearing, Senior Assistant Registrar and Zonal Coordinator Ambrose Okelezo informed the committee that the head of WAEC Nigeria was unable to attend due to an emergency meeting with the registrar and heads of other national offices. Okelezo appealed for the section to be rescheduled to Monday, allowing the WAEC head to appear in person and address the concerns raised. However, this request was met with strong resistance from members of the committee. Honorable Awaji Nnombek Abiente sharply criticized the absence, insisting that WAEC leadership could not dictate the terms of its appearance before the House.
I had my exams. It was not like this. It has never been this bad. And it is under this same condition that you are proposing to have compulsory computer-based tests. How many schools in this country have computer for their students? How many schools?
Echoing the outrage, Honorable Billy Osawaru expressed similar concerns and moved a motion seconded by Honorable Abiente for the adjournment of the hearing until WAEC head could appear personally. The motion was unanimously adopted and resolved to reconvene on Monday, June 2nd. Sharon Ajay reporting for Global TV News.
You are watching the live broadcast of AM News. When AM News returns, Ivory Coast opposition call for election reform ahead of vote. Details coming shortly, plus foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is AM News on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. In business now, a group of under the auspices of African Center for Energy Governance and Accountability, ASEGA, have tasked President Bola Tinubu on the need for deeper investment in energy infrastructure, faster resolution of legacy disputes, and strategic planning for Nigeria's energy transition in the face of global decarbonization targets. According to the Group Executive Director, Dr. Usman Bello Idris, the Nigerian oil and gas sector is still faced with challenges in refining capacity, gas monetization, and energy access for its people. Suggestions is coming on the heels of the second-year administration of President Bola Tinubu, which has elite said critical assessment of his governance since he became president. Over now to Dangote Petrochemical Refinery, we receive at least 5 million barrels of imported crude oil within the 4 weeks of July. The import delivery consisted of U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude. The refinery has awarded tenders for the purchase of around 161,000 barrels per day of U.S. crude oil to be delivered in July. The final total for the month may change if the refinery makes more purchases. Meanwhile, Nigeria's crude export to the United States increased from 358,000 barrels per day to 364,000 BDP across the Dangote Petroleum Refinery reduced its daily fuel production between April and May 2025. Quoting the Energy Information Administration, U.S. crude oil and fuel inventories all fell last week, where crude oil imports from Nigeria hit their highest level in nearly 6 years. Crude inventories fell by 2.8 million barrels to 440.4 million barrels in the week ending May 23rd, compared with analysts' expectations in the Reuters poll for 118,000 barrel rise. The African Development Bank says Nigeria is losing about 8.8 billion every year due to its large informal economy in its 2025 African Economic Outlook report. According to the bank, informal enterprise, including street vendors, smallholders, farmers, and micro and small businesses, make up a significant share of economic activity across Africa but remain largely untaxed. The report noted that while informal businesses contribute significantly to economic activity and employment, much of wealth they generate remains outside the tax system, resulting in substantial revenue losses that could be used for finance development. The federal government has denied knowledge of a controversial Russian work-study program linked to the production of military drones used in the war against Ukraine. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs said Nigeria was not involved in it. However, a document posted on the website of the Ministry of Education, which had been trending for a while, suggests Nigerian youths are encouraged to apply for the scholarship. Meanwhile, the Russian government has denied recent allegations that Nigerian youths, particularly young women, are being recruited to work in military drone factories under the guise of scholarship schemes. In a statement published via a verified Russian social media account, the government dismissed the claims as false and part of what it described as a Western-sponsored smear campaign. Russian government noted that the statement was in response to growing media coverage, particularly the Nigerian outlets concerning the activities at the Special Economic Zone in Alabuga, adding that the statement suggested that Nigerian students recruited under a vocational scholarship program were being engaged in military drone assembly for the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The Ivory Coast Political Opposition and Alliance of Parties, known as the Coalition for a Peaceful Alternation, has called for political dialogue with the ruling party, Rally of Republicans, RDR, 5 months ahead of the presidential election. Opposition leaders denounced President Al-Hassan Carter's potential candidacy, as well as the exclusion of several political figures from the electoral list, including banker Terjen Chen, former chief executive officer, CEO of Swiss bank Credit Suisse, to allow the candidacy of all political leaders. The country's former First Lady Simone Gbagbo asked President Al-Hassan to take his pen to write an amnesty law that will ease everything. In Paris, Terjen presided of the coalition, and the PDCI, the main opposition party, projected a video onto big scenes. In the video, he said that justice must not be instrumentalized and called for revision of the electoral list before the election. In our sports news now, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea and Manchester United have stepped up their interest in Atalanta forward Ademola Lookman as the Nigerian international emerges as one of the most sought-after players in the summer transfer market following his remarkable Serie A campaign. The 27-year-old has become a prime target for several Premier League heavyweights after contributing 25 goals across all competitions this season, with his outstanding performances propelling Atalanta into European contention and significantly increasing his market value. Arsenal have reportedly made Lookman their primary transfer target ahead of Atalanta clubs as they look to straighten their attacking oppositions. Manager Mikel Arteta is building a squad capable of competing on all fronts, and Lookman presents an exciting profile given their current focus on squad depth. Moving on the news now, and that's it on Global TV AM News. We brought to you that President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to local government technology transfer and empowering Nigeria. And in business, we brought to you that a group under the auspices of African Center for Energy Governance and Accountability has tasked President Bola Tinubu on the need for deeper investments in energy infrastructure, faster resolution of legacy disputes, and strategic planning for Nigeria's energy transmission in the face of global decarbonization. And on the foreign scene, we brought to you that the federal government has denied knowledge of a controversial Russian work-study program linked to the production of military drones used in the war against Ukraine. And finally, in sports, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea and Manchester United have stepped up their interest in Atalanta forward Ademola Lookman as the Nigerian international emerges as one of the most sought-after players in the summer transfer market following his remarkable Serie A campaign. And that's it on Global TV AM News. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now, kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using @Global TV NG. You know, you can download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. Global Morning continues with taste and texture. Stay tuned.
Do you know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
Our planet is changing and the clock is ticking. But amidst this crisis, there is hope, innovation, and resilience. Join me each week. The environment which you live is very much alive as I uncover the truths, the challenges, and the champions of our environment, because the future depends on what we do now.
They told you education is the key. They said, go to school. But why are so many graduates purposeless and jobless? On EduShift, we spot the cracks. We challenge the educational system. Torn between science, arts, and commerce, we bring clarity and answers to your questions, and we light up the path for a generation ready to stand out. Come enjoy discussions with educators, employers, and counselors. Let us fix this problem of career misalignment and help you discover yourself. EduShift, only on Global TV.
Hello and welcome to Taste and Texture. On Taste and Texture, we'll be sharing different delicacies as well as the ingredients needed and the process in making them, and also their health benefits. Today we'll be looking at Nigerians' most popular dish, and that is jollof rice. Jollof rice is a seasoned tomatoey rice dish eaten at literally every party, Sunday lunch, and everything in between. Jollof rice is a rice dish from West Africa. The dish is typically made with rice, tomatoes, chilies, onions, spices, and sometimes other vegetables, although its ingredients and preparation methods vary across different regions. The dish's origins are traced to Senegal. Well, now let's look at the ingredients needed in preparing such delicacy. For the tomato sauce, we have 1 large ripe tomato, cored and cutted, 1 large red bell pepper, seeded and roughly chopped, 1 whole habanero pepper, stemmed removed, 1 whole Fresno chili, stem removed, 4 cloves garlic, peeled, 1 tablespoon minced ginger, 2 cups of water. And for the rice, we need 1/3 cup of olive oil, 1 red onion diced, 1 teaspoon salt, plus you could add more to taste, 1/4 cup tomato paste, 2 tablespoons smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon curry powder, 1 teaspoon cumin, 1 teaspoon dried thyme, ½ teaspoon freshly ground black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon turmeric, 2 1/4 cups basmati rice or any rice of your choice, 1 bay leaf, 1 tablespoon chicken bouillon paste. And now, let's make it. We'll be going on the short break, and of course, when we return, we'll give you the steps in making such delicious delicacy. Stay with us.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road.
Welcome back to Taste and Texture. Let's make jollof rice together. Step 1. Combine tomato, red pepper, habanero pepper, Fresno chili, garlic, ginger, and water in a blender for the sauce. Blend on high until smooth and set aside. Step 2. Heat olive oil in a saucepan over medium heat. Add onion and salt and saute until onions start to soften 4 to 5 minutes. Clear space in the middle of the pan, add tomato paste and saute for 2 to 3 minutes. Season with paprika, curry powder, cumin, thyme, pepper, and turmeric. Continue cooking for 1 to 2 minutes until everything is well combined. Step 3. Turn off the heat and stir in the rice. Make sure every grain of rice is coated with the oil tomato mixture. Add bay leaf and chicken bouillon pastes. Step 4. Turn it to high, stir in tomato sauce and bring to a simmer. Cover with a tight fitted lid, reduce heat to medium-low and simmer for 20 minutes. Do not remove the lid or stir rice. Step 5. Turn off the heat after 20 minutes and set the timer for 12 minutes. Allow rice to sit and also do not remove the lid. Step 6. After the 12 minutes are up, remove lid and fluff rice with a fork separating all grains. Note, if rice seems to be a little undercooked at this point, stop fluffing. Pat the rice down gently with the back of the fork, cover tightly again and set it to medium-low. Cook for another 5 minutes and check again. When it's ready, serve with any kind of green vegetables, could be green onions or any vegetables of your choice. And of course, you could pair with a chilled, fresh juice. Try it, test it, and let us know. Well, that's all we have for you today on Taste and Texture. See you next time.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road.
Behind the mask of deceit lies a world of darkness, where shadows hide the truth and justice is the only light. Good morning and welcome to Social Buzz on Global Morning. I am Ogochukwu Mobno. Today on Social Buzz, 2 suspects have been arrested in Kano State over alleged possession of fake $899,800 American dollars. The Kano Zonal Directorate of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has commenced investigations of 2 suspects arrested with counterfeit $899,800 American dollars. The suspect identifies as Abubakar Hussaini, who is 42, and Sahabi Adamu, who is 53, were initially intercepted by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA operatives along Maiduguri Road, Wudil, Kano State. They were in a commercial Golf 3 station wagon car en route to Kila Village in Gwaram local government area of Jigawa State. Preliminary findings revealed that the suspects were transporting the counterfeit to Kila Village to meet one Muhammad Wallo, who was to introduce them to Malam Mashiru, a self-proclaimed spiritualist claiming to be capable of transforming the counterfeit dollars to genuine currency through ritual prayers. Well, the commission said the suspects will be charged to court upon conclusion of investigation. Well, that's it for the buzz this morning, and we'll be going straight into comments. We'll be taking our first comment from Hadassah. Hadassah says, wait, they believe one Malam would transform the counterfeit into real dollars? That's epic. It is really epic, Hadassah. And the next comment is coming from SmartCard CEO1. And SmartCard says, make them say na music video they won't use them shoot. Wow, that's a big lie. Anyways, the agency will always find out this thing after investigating it. So whatever it is you say, they'll definitely get to find out at the end of the day, SmartCard. So the next comment is coming from Prince Valentine. This is the last but not the least comment. And Prince says, ask them where is the balance of $100,200 that is missing from the money. It seems Prince Valentine knows so much about the figures. Well, that's it for Social Buzz. Today, I am Ogochukwu Mobna. Don't stay with us as Global Morning continues.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
Our planet is changing and the clock is ticking. But amidst this crisis, there is hope, innovation, and resilience. Join me each week. The environment which you live is very much alive as I uncover the truths, the challenges, and the champions of our environment, because the future depends on what we do now.
They told you education is the key. They said, go to school. But why are so many graduates purposeless and jobless? On EduShift, we spot the cracks. We challenge the educational system. Torn between science, arts, and commerce, we bring clarity and answers to your questions, and we light up the path for a generation ready to stand out. Come enjoy discussions with educators, employers, and counselors. Let us fix this problem of career misalignment and help you discover yourself. EduShift, only on Global TV.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
Our planet is changing and the clock is ticking. But amidst this crisis, there is hope, innovation, and resilience. Join me each week. The environment which you live is very much alive as I uncover the truths, the challenges, and the champions of our environment, because the future depends on what we do now.
They told you education is the key. They said, go to school. But why are so many graduates purposeless and jobless? On EduShift, we spot the cracks. We challenge the educational system. Torn between science, arts, and commerce, we bring clarity and answers to your questions, and we light up the path for a generation ready to stand out. Come enjoy discussion.
Welcome back. It's Global Morning on Global Television, and today we're going to be looking at the first discuss of the day. We're looking at the Niger flood disaster. Now, Tinubu mobilizes emergency response. Death toll hits 150. Now, of course, like I said, it's the Niger flood. It's call for proactive measures. And we'll be looking at the legal aspect when it comes to this. And I have my guest with me. His name is Kola Allah Akpeni. He is an international human rights lawyer, and he's here with me in the studio. Good morning, Mr. K. How are you doing today?
Fine, always a pleasure to be here.
Fine, thank you. Thank you for being here. Now, we're going to be looking at this Niger flood. Now, looking at it critically, now, what are the responsibilities of government and other relevant authorities in preventing and managing flood disasters in Nigeria? Because I see we do not do enough when it comes to this particular area.
Well, it cuts both ways. When you talk about the responsibilities and what government should do, the primary responsibility of government, of course, is securing lives and property. And government has always tried to do that when it comes to the issue of flooding. NIMET sends out signals and lets us know, they give flood warnings. NEMA is rolled out when this happens. So you have the proactive and the reactive. More importantly, what I think government should be thinking of is evacuating people living close to the banks of the river. Depending on who is telling the story, you hear different narratives. The people of Niger State, especially where this incident occurred in Mokwa, said there wasn't a heavy rainfall, that this is not from rainfall, it's from water from the dam, that the dam was let loose. And the government will say, oh, we've been warning them about these disasters, etc. If you take Benue, for instance, Benue too has this perennial issue, where he says, no, it's not from rainfall, it's when the dam in Cameroon is let loose and everything floods into River Benue. So I think that we usually have sentimental attachments to land, especially in Africa. Just take historical view of what happens in South Africa, what's happening in Zimbabwe, what happened in Kenya, and even in Nigeria during the colonial era. We need to look at things in a more practical way. Government needs to start looking at resettling people who live near the banks of the river, no matter what sentimental attachments they have to ancestral land. Otherwise, it's going to be a recurring decimal. It's not going to go anywhere.
Very true. Now, with this back and forth when it comes to this, now the government is saying that it's from the rain, and then the individuals and communities are saying, no, it's not from the rain, it's from the dam, because this is maybe more than what we see. Because if you watch that footage closely, it was so much when it comes to the water taking away people. They were just going. Now, in the legal aspect, now how can individuals, communities seek compensation for damages and losses caused by this particular act by government? Because if the government took proactive measures when it comes to the dam and looking at it, and like you mentioned, what are there any room for compensation legally?
Yeah, there should be. First, you have to establish that government was negligent.
Which, if they say it's like everyone is going back and forth with this matter now.
So that has to be established. Is it just rainfall? Is it the dams were open? If it can be traced to the dams being the dam, in this case, a singular dam was opened and this occurred, there might be an avenue to sue the government for, say, negligence, for instance. But as I said, this is debatable because first, you have to establish the cause of it. May I refresh your memory, but this is not the first time that this is happening in Mokwa. If you remember, a couple of years ago when Vice President Yemi Osinbajo was doing his administration, and he actually went there, the bridge connecting, there was a connecting bridge in Mokwa there, was actually severed by the flood. So it's not new. And I took that road from Abuja via Bida. I schooled up the road in Bida anyway, so I know this axis very well. And I went to Ilorin, I drove all the way. And this was after that road had been fixed and the bridge had been fixed. So this is not new. It's not as if we've not seen the likes of what is happening before. How prepared are we? How do we have preventive measures? How are we sure that, I can assure you, Jemai, that this is going to happen again. Give it a few more years, because we don't learn from past mistakes.
Exactly. And the funny part of all of this is we keep going back and forth when it comes to flood issues. I can recall 3 years ago when we had that incident in Lokoja, we had the same incident in Bayelsa, where And of course, in Maiduguri, just recently now, when you see dams and all of that, when it comes to flood, I feel we do not take precautionary measures when it comes to issues like this. And do you think government actually toils with human life in all of these issues? Going back and forth, we don't prepare, and we're not ready to prepare, and we just feel it's just life, or it's just property. Do you think they do not take that precautionary measures to be very, very apt when it comes to issues of flood?
You'll be surprised it's not. It doesn't just apply to government. I'll give you a very interesting narrative.
I would like to hear this.
About 2 decades ago, I used to work in the Niger Delta. I worked in oil prospecting. And we had a very vibrant community affairs department. It was a joint venture between the Nigerian government and private enterprise. And being in community affairs, we're supposed to be troubleshooters. Whenever trouble wants to start in the community, you make sure that you quell the fires before it spreads. And then you'll be hearing on the radio traffic, maybe from the drills crew or some of our community affairs people on ground who are desperately calling on the radio, trying to alert the base camp that there's going to be a problem. And base camp, of course, or maybe the party chief is going to relay this message to community affairs, or it could come on very rarely. The party chief is like commander-in-chief. It rarely comes on air. So when it's very serious, it comes on and says, how do you copy community affairs, CA department? Do you copy? And then we say we copy. And he's trying to say, get on top of this. And then within some of our colleagues, the community affairs will tell you, stand down, don't worry. Do you know why? Do you know why they're doing that?
Why?
They want it to escalate. Because when it escalates, and the problem is bigger, you're able to get more funding to resolve what is going on. I was very naive when I joined, and the first time that happened, I was shocked. And it is a trajectory that follows us into national life and national psyche. It's not just government. And I have friends who've worked in emergency disaster. I have friends in NEMA. I have friends all around who do these things, who work in these agencies. And this is what they tell me. This could be prevented. But if it's prevented,
how will funds come?
How will funds come? How people go on trips? I'm telling you the human angle, and it's not just in Nigeria, even in international disaster relief management. Why do you think the insurgency has kept on in the Northeast? Why do you think you have so many NGOs in the Northeast, in the Maiduguri axis and all that? How do you think their funding is justified? This is the human flaw of disaster management, whether we like it or not. So if government is sincere, as I told you, first thing they need to do is to evacuate people who live along the riverbanks or the flood path or floodplain. Disaster doesn't happen. It builds up. You see it coming. And if you don't act promptly, it's going to engulf everyone. So that's what's happening. There is a commercial side to disaster management.
Very true.
When people go on trips like that from the office, out of station allowance, that's how some people are able to augment and pay rent and buy cars and everything.
At the detriment of people's lives.
You might not like how it sounds, but that is the truth. How do you think war reporters make money?
Don't drag us in this, okay?
No, but it's true. I have a background in journalism, so I know this. How do you think war reporters make money? They send you to Iraq, Kuwait, to disaster zones, and with your film crew and all. You start getting your hazard allowance and everything. There's always a commercial side to disaster.
Very true.
So, but we need to draw a line, and we need to balance it.
Very importantly.
Yeah.
Now, let's look at the statements of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Of course, we know so far 150 persons have lost their lives. Let's talk a bit about Tinubu's mobilizes emergency response. How far do you think this will go, this mobilization of the emergency response when it comes to flood victims in Mokwa?
Yeah, we do it every time. As I said, this is not the first time it's happening in Mokwa. We've done it in Lokoja zone is coming. Mark what I'm saying. We're treating Mokwa now. It's going to come in Lokoja because it comes every year. It's perennial. the River Benue and River Niger are not going to go anywhere. So in as much as those two rivers are there, we're going to deal with these disasters. And you'll see that it's the same approach. We should be planning for what will happen in Makurdi or on the banks of the River Benue now and on the banks of the River Niger. It's going to happen in the next 1 or 2 months. You can't hide it. You can't escape it.
But you know what, Mr. K, I think we do not have that precautionary measures when it comes to these sort of issues.
We do. It's just it's the political will. It's the
Really?
people who,
We do?
if you are familiar with NEMA's itinerary and NEMA's capacity, we do. We plan. At some point in time, NEMA had a chopper for disaster relief. They had an aircraft. Everything's there. The blueprints. We have. See, Nigeria does not lack qualified personnel.
Let me just quickly interject, Mr. K. For as much as we have all of these measures that you have stated, the chopper and all of that, do you have like a monitoring? Is there? I know you
There
have.
is.
Is there a monitor that goes and check the breaks of all of this when it comes to dam, when it comes to drainage, when it comes to see the pressure, the measures, and every other thing encompassed?
Nigeria does not lack personnel. We actually export our personnel.
But these personnel, are they active?
And I said it is due to political will or due to the will of the establishment. We have everything. We have the best hands in the world when it comes to stuff like this. We don't lack personnel. We don't lack training. Some of these government agencies even get sent abroad for training periodically. The buck stops at the table of the person who is in charge. There's nothing. Even the president of Nigeria is the most informed person in Nigeria, if you don't know. It's a different thing if he wants to act on all the various security reports. From State Security Service, from DAI, from whatever. All the reports from NSA's office, all the reports are there on the table. Whether he has the strength or capacity to go through all the briefings is another thing. But there's nothing the president of Nigeria wants. If he wants to know what you discussed yesterday, he would find out. We have the capacity to do so on your phone. The security agencies are able to trace whatever you discussed and who you're speaking with. So it's all about political will or executive will.
I know you are an international lawyer. Now, let's look at this critically. The international body, how do you think they perceive us when we keep going back and forth with this issue of flood, lives are being lost? Then look at the total sum, 150, and of course, these are the ones that we do not know the ones that are uncounted for. How do you think they perceive us at this point? They've always said Nigerians are corrupt, all of these things. Do you think it's just a stamp in the book pad that, hey, it's really true, all what we've said about Nigerians and, of course, the policies, the politicians, and all of that encompassed?
Disasters happen abroad as well, internationally. It's the response that changes the scope. And Nigeria is not in isolation when it comes to corruption. You'll be amazed at what goes on in other countries abroad. In the so-called Western countries, they're just more adept at covering it up than us. And probably, maybe the scale, the wanton disrespect for accountability that we have here, they are more careful. But Nigeria is not in isolation of corruption. You don't just remove your mind from that thinking. And then, if this occurs in some climes, they go over it. There's a review. What did we miss? How did we miss this? Could we have done this better? There's more attention from the press. There's more accountability. Parliament will be holding, sessions on it. Congress will be asking questions and be accountable to the people. I think that they seem to do some things better in that way. But that doesn't mean that some disasters don't tell you that it's going to happen.
No,
it just occurs.
Natural,
You can minimize it, or they can tell you a tornado is coming, or a thunderstorm, etc. But some just don't give you any warning. But when it does, how do you respond to it, and how do you prevent the reoccurrence? I think that is what we need to work more on. And if you look at all the human factors which I had mentioned earlier, we could reduce it.
I like the fact you said we can reduce it, but looking at it critically now, what do you think is the way forward when it comes to compensation, when it comes to, you know, these individuals who are involved, who have lost their lives, individuals that have lost properties, have lost businesses in the course of this flood? What's the way forward as an individual who is abreast with their rights, and of course, and how to avert this sort of issue? I know you've worked with NEMA before, so.
I didn't work on NEMA,
Oh,
but I'm familiar with
you're
the activities, and I have people
okay,
there.
You have people there.
First, I noticed that you've mentioned the word compensation like 3 or 5 times.
It's very important.
I would probably focus more on even avoiding the situation, how we got there in the first place, before we start talking about compensation.
Okay.
And that was why I said we need to resettle the people. Government needs to be firm, and they need to do it in conjunction with the powers at the lower level, at the local level. So you're talking to the traditional rulers, if they have an emir there, or a chief, etc., with the local government chairman, with the governor. So these things have to be done at that local level first. You have to let the people, especially now, you strike when the iron is hot. See, this is the situation you're in. It will come back again. It will keep coming. We need to, as a matter of fact, public policy, all land belongs to government. Government can expropriate that area, can take over that place and say, okay, maybe anywhere it's 2 kilometers to the riverbanks, government takes over so that we don't have this kind of incursion. Regarding compensating the people, like you've said, first, disaster relief management is going on. As usual, government will roll out what I call the free, the willy, whatever. Just start giving people blankets and food.
Materials.
Yeah, you know. And then you have that itself has its own politics, and we've seen it happen in Kogi states before. So you see government sending grains and this, and the people in power
Hurt them.
There you go. Wanting to redistribute them during campaign seasons. We saw it during COVID as well.
Yes,
So these are the human factors which I'm talking about in Nigeria, which government needs to be on top of it. Well, otherwise, compensation is meaningless, because it probably comes down in trickles to the people at the grassroots, or they don't even see it at all. If you have been destabilized, displaced, if you've been displaced, you've lost your home, you lost your roof, you're staying in IDP camps, are you the kind of person that's going to start suing the government for compensation?
There's no time for that.
That's not even your mind space.
Exactly, there are bigger things.
So maybe an NGO is going to be the one that would do that. So I focus less on compensation, which is reactive.
But that's you, Mr.
And if I were in government, this is, you asked me my opinion.
Yes,
that's why I'm saying so. If I were in a position to direct policy, I would rather prevention would be my focus, and 1,001 ways before we can even say. So you minimize who you are compensating, how many people you compensate. That's already minimum, because you've planned ahead. My principal in secondary school used to say, if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. So that's what we lack. Okay. On the issue of compensation, yes, people are entitled to relief. As I said, you have to determine first if there's negligence, or if this is just natural. So that determines even the scope of compensation.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Kola Alakbini, for this beautiful wheels of knowledge in which you've given us when it comes to this flood, and when it comes to flood in Niger State, and of course Mokwa. And of course, he says we should learn to plan. It's very important that government really needs to learn to plan, and of course the necessary things need to be done when it comes to issues of flood, because we keep going back and forth when it comes to this particular issue, and like he mentioned, it's not going away soon. It's still going to happen over and over again.
It's not going to happen. It will. We saw it in Ibadan in 1980. I was growing up there.
Yeah, 3 years ago we saw it in Lokoja, we saw it in Bayelsa State.
What we did in Ibadan differently, because I was a young boy growing up. I think it was in 1980 when we had the Omiyale flood disaster in Ibadan. What we did was channelization. So the whole path which the Ogumba River passes through was channelized. It took donkey years, but the government eventually got around to finish it after re-awarding the contract so many times through the military era, the civilian era, etc. But you wouldn't hear about flood disaster like that.
That's
on the
proactive measure we're
Ogumba
talking
channel.
about.
Yes, and there was also sensitization to the people. Don't throw dirt into the, because they feel like,
yes.
that's going to wash everything away. So you have to look at the peculiarity of each locale to be able to determine. And I can tell you for free that you need to evacuate people who are staying on the banks of the river on this issue. So once you do that, you even reduce the number of fatality that occurs.
150 is a lot, really.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, we do not know the ones that are unaccounted for. These are the ones that are accounted for, and it's just unfortunate. So our heart goes out to the people of Mokwa and Niger State, and I hope the needful is done and precautionary measures need to be taken, very importantly. Thank you so much, Mr. K.
Thank you.
Also known as Barrister
Thank you.
Alakpeni. He is, of course, an international human rights lawyer. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program. Part 2 of the segment on Global Morning continues. But up next is business news, and then sports follows, and then the second discuss of the day. Stay tuned. Do not go anywhere.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road.
Our planet is changing and the clock is ticking. But amidst this crisis, there is hope, innovation, and resilience. Join me each week. The environment which you live is very much alive as I uncover the truths, the challenges, and the champions of our environment, because the future depends on what we do now.
They told you education is the key. They said, go to school. But why are so many graduates purposeless and jobless? On EduShift, we spot the cracks. We challenge the educational system. Torn between science, arts, and commerce, We bring clarity and answers to your questions, and we light up the path for a generation ready to stand out. Come enjoy discussions with educators, employers, and counselors. Let us fix this problem of career misalignment and help you discover yourself. EduShift, only on Global TV.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
Our planet is changing and the clock is ticking. But amidst this crisis, there is hope, innovation, and resilience. Join me each week. The environment which you live is very much alive as I uncover the truths, the challenges, and the champions of our environment, because the future depends on what we do now.
They told you education is the key. They
Niger State. Now we're talking about Niger State. What about other states? You know, the season that we are in right now calls for a lot of caution because we've had situations of flooding in the past. But it's so good that we have to talk about it today so that we can have a better understanding of what the situation is. Now let's go to the second discussion for today, where I will have an expert join me as we talk about government policies. One of the things that has defined this administration is the policies they came into office with. How is the policy? Is it working? And you know, policies in Nigeria is so dynamic. Sometimes you can't really define what it is, but then most importantly is what the people are saying, what the people are feeling, how are the people reacting to these policies. And of course, like I said, an expert is going to be joining me on the program. He is someone that knows what these policies are all about. And of course, one very important thing is the fact that these policies, a lot of people talk about it, but then we need to be very, very, very sure of the fact that these policies are well positioned. Because if these policies are not well positioned, we won't be able to have the necessary, of course, governance, the necessary impact, the necessary result that we are looking forward to. So today we're considering the impact of policies in Nigeria. These policies, does it really have impact on Nigerians? Are Nigerians complaining? Is it that they don't really understand what these policies are all about? Is it that there is a particular time frame for policies to be fully implemented for it to have a positive result? Is it all policies that have positive results? Do we have negative results, circumstances coming from policies? I think Nigerians will need to know if all these things are in place so that they will know how to prepare themselves for the rainy day. But the president has promised that there will always be light at the end of the tunnel, and it's the same light we are waiting for. But 2 years in office, how are we faring? When we talk about 2 years in office, a lot of people will be thinking of just the presidency alone, the federal government. What about the state governors who have been receiving proceeds from the subsidy removal? Because we're made to understand that the monies realized from the subsidy removal, a part of it goes to the state government. What are they doing with it? All right, what's the situation? How are they faring? Is everything going on smoothly? Is everything going on wrongly? But the bottom line is that these policies have really come to stay, and this is second year, all right? So we should be looking at that. And my guest is already on, he's logged in, he's waiting already, and of course, he's someone that is very, very, very bright. I'm talking about Jide Ojo, who is going to be our guest on Global Morning today. And he's a development consultant and also a public affairs analyst. He's joining us so that we can talk about this situation today. It's good to have you join us on Global Morning today. Good morning. All right, he is going to join us any moment from now. One of the policies of the government that any Nigerian today can talk about is the subsidy removal and the floating of Naira, which the federal government have said, well, we need a little more time to get things stabilized, all right? But now, this policy is seriously biting, all right? This policy has affected a lot of things, more so that it has translated into what we call hunger in the land. But Nigerians are very resilient people. Nigerians are people that take out time, all right, to make sure they do what the government, some of the things, not all, some of the things the government cannot do for Nigerians. You see people going as far as doing it for themselves. And one thing that I've personally discovered about Nigerians is the fact that there is this seriousness, all right, to overcome situations, to surmount situations. Because what happens to some persons in Nigeria in terms of hunger, if it is in other countries, it might be something else. But Nigerians have gone ahead to yield to the cry of the federal government. One good thing about the federal government is that they understand that the situation is not so favorable to Nigerians, but it has to be done for us to get stabilized. And the effect of this policy is going to be for a while. Now, looking at the different sectors of the economy, how can we actually profile solution to this? For how long? Some of the things Nigerians need to know at this point is how long is this policy going to be the policy that has affected Nigerians now? How long is it going to stay? How long is the suffering, for instance, maybe the hunger, the floating of the naira? How long is it going to be for it to at least pick up again? Because what Nigerians are saying is the economy needs to pick up, because Nigerians are actually waiting for when things will get stabilized. But as it is right now, I think there are things that we need to know. There are things that we need to do. What are those things? Number one, the government should be able to let us know, to let Nigerians know that, well, it is high time for everyone to believe in the system. The president will always say there is a light at the end of the tunnel. All the sectors might not be up and doing, all right, at this time, but there are other sectors that are doing fine. There are some infrastructures that we are seeing. There are some palliatives that has been put in place. Like we're looking at, if you look at the pages of the paper, when this administration was 2 years, you will see some of the things that was ruled out by this administration as part of their achievements, like construction of road, palliatives to people, the minimum wage implementation, the local government autonomy, and a host of other things that I can't mention all right now. All of this put together are some of the things that this administration said they've done. And we've had some economists talk about the fact that things are working, all right, gradually, and we will tend to see the results in the nearest future, even though it's not now. But we need to endure. What we have been made to understand by this administration is that Nigeria cannot just be fixed in 2 years. All right, a lot has been done and a lot is still going on. But then to say, all right, this problem of hunger is totally out, it's not something that can be done in 2 years. But what Nigerians are saying and thinking is that we should do what we can to ensure that things move on smoothly. It's good to have you join us. My guest is right here. It's good to have you join us this morning, Jide Ojo. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure, Ramsey. Happy New Week. Happy New Month.
All right. I don't know. What's your assessment of the policy of government and how it's affecting Nigerians from your own perspective?
Thank you so much for inviting me on your program. The policy of government is impacting in a mismatch, or should I say, in both negative and positive ways on the average citizens. Look at the policy of subsidy removal and the unification of the exchange rates. These are the first set of policies this administration came up with. But what do we see? The impact has been deleterious on average citizens. It has triggered what we call cost of living crisis. So much so that as of today, given the devaluation of the national currency, which is Naira, which has been devalued by over 400%, the purchasing power parity of that currency is very, very weak. The last time I checked, it's about 1,600 thereabout to a dollar. And that's the list of the international currencies. Recall that dollar is weaker to pound, sterling, and euro in exchange in Nigeria. So if dollar is exchanging for about 1,600, sometimes 1,590 thereabout, then you should know that pounds will be going for close to 200 naira to a dollar, and 200 naira to a pound, and euro about 180 to a pound, to 180 naira to a euro. So the purchasing power parity of most Nigerians has been weakened. What you buy for 5,000 naira 2 years ago is what you are buying for 20,000 now. Even the so-called minimum wage has been, which is another government, not even policy now, but a minimum wage law, which was signed in June 2024, June or July 2024. That is in itself, which was meant to cushion the harsh effect of subsidy removal and the unification of the naira, has not been very effective, because despite the fact that it's over 100% increase from 30,000 to 70,000. As I said earlier on, the purchasing power parity of the currency is so weak that what 70,000 will buy now is what we were buying for 20,000 last 2 years. So you have more, but what you can purchase with that increase in wage is far, far weaker. And that's why even the security policy, much as they want to let us know that it's working, we know that there is higher insecurity now than before, given the resurgence of ISWAP and Boko Haram, the Lakurawa, the Mahmuda, and sacking of several villages in Plateau, in Benue, even in Taraba. And the rampage of kidnappers, and you know, the director of administration of APC was kidnapped here in FCT Abuja and was murdered by his abductors. That's even the director of administration of the ruling party. Several incidences like that has happened. Even last week, it was reported in a community in Kubwa, where kidnappers also went. So there are several policies. Let me also extract the policy of 200 billion presidential initiative on compressed natural gas. This was pronounced in 2023, almost 2 years after. How many compressed natural gas vehicles do you see on our roads? Because there are very few stations that are doing conversion from petrol to CNG fuel, and where they could even buy the CNG. Unlike fuel stations where you can drive in and buy PMS and buy kerosene and buy diesel, you have to go to, the only one I know is along Airport Road. When ordinarily, given the huge sums that have been spent on the presidential initiative on compressed natural gas, by now, the CNG stations should have been rivaling the petrol stations. But only very few, and that's why the cost of even converting your vehicle to CNG is so huge. It's about $1 million, depending on the kind of vehicle. And so not many people have the resources to go and convert. Even, and the irony is that, Ramsey, even if many people convert to CNG, you will now see exponential rise in the cost of that CNG, which is sold for about 200 naira per kilogram now. The more people goes into using CNG, the more the price will rise. Look at what has happened with the cooking gas, the domestic gas. When previous administration was encouraging people to use cooking gas, it was cheap. It was like 300 naira to 300 naira per kilogram. Today, the same measure of 1 kilogram is about 1,500, 1,600 per kilo. So you want to buy 12.5 kilograms, you are paying 18,000 or thereabout. So that tells you that the more people move into certain areas, the higher the price will go, because it's law of demand and supply. Let's go to the micro, small, and medium enterprises, 200 billion presidential initiatives. The last research I did on Tinubunomics, which was published in my column about 3 weeks ago, shows that only 22 billion out of the 200 billion has been disbursed so far by the Bank of Industry. So how can this impact on, in a salutary manner on average citizen? So what we have now is what the government is touting as growth. But growth does not necessarily connote development. Growth, for growth to bring about development, there must be reduction in inflation, poverty, and unemployment. That's what Professor Dudley Seale said. Is a development economist. He said where inflation or unemployment and poverty is going, there is no development. Even if
let me come in at this point now. Look, working, because some persons believe that it has to take a little time before things work 100%. What's your assessment? At what percentage do you see it now? And do you think with time these policies will work for Nigerians?
Well, I'm not a Nostradamus that will say with time. We gave Buhari time almost, from the inception when he came with the mantra of change. But after 8 years, we are left with the feeling of deja vu. You are in Abuja. You are living here. You know how much people touted the administration of Muhammadu Buhari before he became president. People say, mega scare, if only we will give this man an opportunity to be president, things will be turned around, Nigeria will become an El Dorado. And he was consistent. He contested in 2003, 2007, 2011, before he won in 2015. But after the 6 months of body language, people saw that it's a toothless bulldog. And today, when he was celebrating Rice Pyramid here in Abuja, people thought that things have come turn around. But today we are importing rice to feed in this country, despite the over 1 trillion that was spent on what he called Anchor Borrowers Program. I hope you remember, Ramsey. Anchor Borrowers Program that was initiated under the Central Bank of Nigeria cost this country over 1 trillion naira investment. But today, we are importing rice, we are importing grains of all sorts, including wheat. So where did all the 1 trillion went to? Where did all the 1 trillion go to? You could see now that Emefiele, who superintended over that Anchor Borrowers Program, is being tried for corruption with over 753 uncompleted building traced to him. So that's it, the role of corruption. So when we say maybe we can sustain these reforms, yes, we have no choice but to be patient. But I hope our patience will not end up being foolishness at the end of the day, because it's one thing to initiate laudable programs and policies. It's another thing to see it to fruition. Look at even the health sector. They have talked about several policies, initiatives, and all of that. But what is the state of healthcare delivery service in Nigeria? What is our access to health? Have we been able to retain our doctors from jackpying? Pardon my use of that word. It's already an English word anyway. How has the policies of the Minister of Health, Professor Ali Pate, how has it helped to stem the syndrome of emigration and brain drain in the health sector? You could see that our hospitals are still largely like a consulting clinics, where a lot of people have lost faith in the public health sector and only go on medical tourism if the private sector cannot resolve their health issues. So it's a work in progress, I agree. We have to give them time, but they should know that we are watching them very carefully. When they were 1 year in government, they said, oh, give us time. It's 2 years now, this midterm report. And yet, we haven't got much to cheer. Rather, greater pain has been inflicted on average citizen. In the neck of wood where I live, my rent has just been increased by over 100%. You know, not a new building, a building that has been in existence for over a decade. Yet, under this administration, you have also had the increase in the electricity tariff and increase in telecommunication tariff. So everybody is adjusting their sets. Market men and women are also adjusting. So at the end of the day, they may say, oh, give us more time. It's just half time, and half time does not win a football match. Yes, I agree. But the money shows the day. If we are not very careful and we relax, these people will feather their own nest. You could see, Ramsey, that election of 2027 is now dominating the discussion in our polity. 2 years into the next election, we are now being beclouded with sole candidacy, endorsement for the next election, and who will win, who will not win the next election. That is not what we should be talking about 2 years into the next election. We should be talking about good governance. We should be looking at our security sector reforms. What do we still need to do to bring the insecurity?
That's true. Well, I think you've spoken very well, but then our time is up. I wish we could have more time to talk about this policy, because the angle from which you're bringing it to the table right now is all encompassing, and it means you are in talk with what Nigerians are saying. You are in touch with Nigerians. Well, I want to say we'll have you again to talk about some of these issues that are so much biting in the society at this point in time. Thank you very much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure, Rafi. Enjoy the rest of your month and new week.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Many thanks for joining us. All right, well, this is going to be the size of the first discussion for today on Global Morning. Coming up next on Global Morning is Business Point, which is going to be brought to us by Kike Nomo Okere. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
That global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world.
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily. while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What's your problem? We're on the road.
Our planet is changing and the clock is ticking. But amidst this crisis, there is hope, innovation, and resilience. Join me each week. The environment which you live is very much alive as I uncover the truths, the challenges, and the champions of our environment, because the future depends on what we do now.
They told you education is the key. They said, go to school. But why are so many graduates popular?
Hello and welcome to Business Segment on Global Morning. I am Kelomo Okere. The Naira suffered a significant loss in the parallel market, closing at 1,630 Naira to $1 on Friday, May 30th, 2025, after several days of relative stability at 1,620 Naira to $1. The local currency also weakened against the British pound, closing at 2,190 Naira to a pound on Friday, compared to 2,170 Naira to a pound on Thursday and 2,165 Naira to a pound on Wednesday, highlighting a consistent depreciation trend throughout the week. In contrast, the previous week saw the Naira appreciate in the parallel market, rising to 1,620 Naira to $1 on Thursday from 1,625 Naira to $1 on Wednesday, maintaining the level from Tuesday. The Nigerian Oil Share Index ended the trading week at 30th May 2025 on a strong note, advancing by 2,713.35 points to close in positive territory as gains in consumer goods sector continued. This represents a 2.49% surge, with the index rising from 109,228.62 to 101,742.0 points, and bringing its month-to-date performance in May to 5.62%. Market activities was strong, with weekly trading volume rising by 25.13% to 3.7 billion share, up from 3.03 billion the previous week. This concurrent rise in the both volume and index shows strong bullish sentiment, with the market capitalization ascending to 70.4 trillion naira, maintaining a firm position above the 70 trillion naira threshold. The economic West African state has issued a resounding call for end to petrol import within the region, position Nigerians prowling Dangote Petroleum Refinery as critical beacon of hope for African industry future during a high-level visit to 650 barrel per day facilities. ECOWAS Commission President Dr. Omar Aliu Toure lauded the refinery as a testament to the private sector transformative power and a blueprint for regional self-reliance. Toure, accompanied by delegation including Sediko Dauka, ECOWAS Commission for Infrastructure, Energy and Digitalization, expressed profound optimism at the sheer scale and sophistication of the refinery. The ECOWAS president highlighted the refinery's crucial role in helping the region meet its stringent 50 ppm sulfur limit for petrol products, a standard many imported fuel consistently fail to meet, posing significant health and environmental hazard across member states. Lagos State is engaging the European Union to develop inland waterways as part of its integrated urban transport system intended to ease gridlock in Lagos, which is also its most populous city. The Lagos State government says in a statement that they are due to break ground on £410 million project in June. The project, called Omiko, which Lagos Water in local Yoruba language, will provide jetties and high-capacity electricity boats along the region waterways to enhance the economic potential of the state's aquatic ecosystem to solve socio-economic problems. After 5 months of delay and consultation, the Lagos State government has set June 16 as the official start date for enforcing its electronic e-call-up system on increasingly congested Lekki-Epe corridor. This move is aimed at tackling the persistent gridlock caused by heavy-duty vehicle accessing Lekki Free Trade Zone and Lekki Deep Sea Port. That's it on business segment on Global Morning. I am Kikelomo Okeri. Good morning.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
All right, you are welcome back. And at this point, we have to wrap it up on the program, Global Morning. Hope you've enjoyed the program with us this beautiful morning from 7 till at about this time and all the various segments on Global Morning. And thank you all so much for being a part of the program. I am Jumai Manson. It's the Tag Team Monday. And of course, my co-host is here with me, another person, Dan.
Yes, I am Ramsey Enoch. I will meditate for staying with us. And of course, remember that Global Morning comes your way
Yes, it does.
day from 7 a.m. And coming up next is Global Sports.
Have an amazing day ahead. From Ramsey and I, we say...
Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies